Hello, co-journeyers, and welcome to The Truth So Help Me Good. I am your host, Barbara Landry, and together we explore some of the bigger questions about this journey we call life, with inspiration from my upcoming memoir, The Truth So Help Me Good. Welcome to episode 14. I am so excited to be sitting here today with my dear friend Michelle Chase as my special guest and the first in-person episode of the podcast. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks, Barbara. I'm excited to be here.
And I'm especially excited about having you as a guest, Michelle, because in the context of memoir, it's all about our stories. And you and I have a very special story to share.
We sure do. Last week, when you were asking me to come up with some ideas for this podcast, I sat down and reflected upon how we met and how our paths crossed. And what came up for me is how friendship can be defined in so many different ways. One can have many friends throughout one's lifetime, all of the relationships being unique, special, and loving. I feel like our story and our friendship is one that stems from the act of love.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And having said that, there is somebody else. Our story really begins with another friendship, and that is your friendship with Valerie.
Yes, when my son was in first grade, I met this woman through the mom for the classroom, Valerie Lewis. Her son was also in the same class. We were really much different than each other, but because I volunteered and helped her quite a bit, we started to form this friendship that I think surprised both of us. We had a lot of fun. We simply grew into really close friends at a actually pretty quick timeline. It was probably in around 2000 that she was diagnosed with cancer, and I was there and helped her through that. And fortunately, she had treatment and came out on the other side, and she was in remission. It was during that time that she was in remission that she felt the need to give back, and she became a CASA volunteer. And I used to listen to her tell stories about being in court as she was protecting children, an advocate for the children who are in the midst of a contested divorce. And she was always telling me how she was very impressed with this lawyer who was a guardian ad litem. And the guardian ad litem was Barbara Landry.
So at this time, you and I did not know each other.
No, I had heard your name so many times from her telling me how impressed she was, how well you handled yourself in court, and how you advocated for children so strongly. So there, I look at that as being that aspect of love and wanting to give back. You know, Valerie wanting to give back and through love, helping a child, and you through your profession was just driven by love and the need to help others. So,
well, what you don't know or didn't know at the time, of course you do now, is that when I was in court with Valerie, I was so impressed with her. And I did not know her before my experience with her as a CASA volunteer. And I thought, this woman is amazing. I just love her so much.
yes, she was amazing. And so, unfortunately, her cancer came back. And this is where our paths begin to cross. And in my mind, it was Valerie that made sure our paths were going to cross. It was in her final days, she was at home, and she had never had an updated will. I remember speaking to her husband, Steve, and he was telling me that she had to get a will done, and the only lawyer that they knew was Barbara Landry. And so one day when I was over there toward the last week or so that she was alive, I walked into the house, and Steve had said to me, "Oh, wait down here. There's a lawyer upstairs."
So this was back in, I think Valerie passed away in February of 2005.
Right.
And I do remember coming into her home, and I had brought 2 women from my office who worked with me to be witnesses for the will and walking down a hallway and then coming to a doorway where I almost bumped into somebody, and it turned out that that was you.
And I didn't know at the time that you were the Barbara Landry that I had heard so much about. It wasn't until after you left, and I never saw you really leave, that Steve mentioned, oh, this Barbara Landry came by. She was so lovely. She wrote up a will, and she brought her staff to witness the will. And I thought, wow, isn't that amazing? This woman would go out of her way and come in to do something like that for someone she hardly knew at all. So Valerie passed away in February of 2005, and our paths still had no intentions of coming together.
So I think we fast forward to a year later.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add for me in this whole process was, as she was dying, one of the things she did say to me, she knew that I was, a little bit unhappy in my marriage and my career and everything that was sort of going on and looking for change. But one thing she did tell me is, I'm going to take care of you if I can. She goes, I don't know what happens on the other side. She goes, but I'm going to take care of you. So for me, I feel like that was her telling, she didn't know. Who knows what happens when we pass? But if there was some way that she could make sure that I got what I needed out of life, she was going to do it. And I firmly believe that that was the reason, fast forward to the following year, that you came to my yoga class.
That's right. I had decided that I wanted to become a yoga teacher and wanted to go through a training. So I went to one of your classes at Hampshire Hills, and I loved the class. And I remember going up to you after the class and saying, hi, my name is Barbara Landry, and I loved your class. I would love to do some teacher training. Where did you have your training?
I don't remember that conversation at all, but I believe it happened. And I must have told you how I went through Yoga Fit, which is the largest yoga school in the world, but it allows you to train at your own pace. And I think we talked about that briefly. And I think that was the end of it, trying to let you know that there was a place, a resource to go to look into, to start pursuing your own yoga training.
So do you remember when we next ran into each other after that?
What I remember is seeing you at the junior high, middle school basketball game. Your daughter Liza was a cheerleader, and my son Michael was on the team. And I think I saw you there, and I remember you telling me your name, and I think it took me a while to kind of put things together. So I do remember going up to you at the game saying, we have a friend or someone we know in common, something to that effect. And that's when I said I was really good friends with Valerie Lewis. And we just started, you and I started talking then about her, and I don't really remember the conversation other than me saying, we have this mutual friend that we knew. I don't know what you remember about it. Do you remember that conversation?
I do. And I remember you telling me that and feeling that there was something really significant about that quote-unquote coincidence. And I also remember you telling me, asking me, inviting me to start coming to yoga teacher trainings with you. Because the way Yoga Fit worked is that you would take a level 1, level 2, level 3. Of course, you've got to do a total of 200 hours. And then you repeat them again. So you were starting your repeat level 1 and said, why don't you start your level 1 next time I go? And we started going to yoga training together.
We sure did. And then the way the universe works, in comes Barbara Landry, and we start going together. These are intensive trainings where you're there for 2 days for 10 hours a day, and they were in Boston, so we were together 12 or 13 hours a day for a couple of weekends, not back to back, but I don't remember our first one. March of 2006, we think, and end of April, 1st of May 2006 is when I then found out or came to the realization that my marriage was ending. And lo and behold, here I'm taking a teacher training with a divorce lawyer, which just was like, well, there's a coincidence. And so, Barbara was kind enough to help me through that. And then it just sort of took off.
It did take off. And I think that that's the part of the story that not only is based on coincidence, but also, I would say, fate, destiny, the universe, Valerie, where we started off on this yoga journey together, and then you actually opened your own yoga studio in Manchester.
Right? I had a yoga studio in Manchester for about 5 or 6 months, trying to get things off the ground. That didn't pan out the way I anticipated, and I was still teaching at Hampshire Hills. We were still going through trainings together, and then I remember you needed some part-time help at your office, and I started saying, "Well, I can come in and help you." I was in between jobs and not working, and so we started to be involved more with each other and just starting to open up more. I think it was initially sort of just a professional friendship, but as one goes through a divorce and life events that you were experiencing brought us closer and deepened our friendship.
And I started teaching at Hampshire Hills. And then I remember getting a phone call from a local yogi who had her own yoga studio. And she said she was selling her studio. Were we interested in perhaps buying it?
Right. And that came as a surprise to both of us. We jumped right in and we grew it into a sanctuary, a beautiful place for people to come and practice. And the building that we did, the fit up we did, was just energetically the most calm and peaceful place you could ever imagine. What that took us on too was our own spiritual and emotional journeys. Then that we started doing all types of workshops and the expansion and self-development that still to this day we both have tools and skills that we acquired together, which never would have happened had our paths not crossed, and we would never have gone to Landmark, the personal development education system that we went through. The way my life is today wouldn't be the way it is today if you and I hadn't met. And I always go back to the Valerie telling me, "I'm going to take care of you." And she did, and here we are, 19 years later.
Wow. I think at the heart of this story for me, and it came from you, you really are the one that framed it this way, is the idea that all of that happened, that these relationships, crossing paths, and all that happened came from a place of wanting to do good. Valerie wanting to do good, me wanting to do good, you wanting to do good. This place of love coming from that place. And I really believe that was the guiding star for all of this, was
Right.
love.
Sure, when you put that energy out into the universe, if that's your path, the energy just attracts in more love, more good. And that's just as plain as the nose on my face. That is exactly how our lives go. If we lead from a place of love, if we have our intentions of doing good, all that's going to come into our lives is love and good, and people who are like-minded and share that same philosophy and same spiritual connection.
Absolutely. And I would also add that together with that intention or that seed is a willingness to show up and have faith and trust in it and be willing to go on the journey. Because, having a yoga studio wasn't easy. Going through a divorce isn't easy. Losing your best friend isn't easy. And all the things, so many things we experienced that although came from a place of doing good and love was also challenging at the same time. So this idea of having faith, to trust, to be willing to go on the journey even when it feels uncomfortable or scary.
Exactly. Yeah. We have to just move forward and move forward in that mindset that this is what is happening and I'm learning from this and I'm going to grow from this, but I'm going to move through this with a loving and kind heart.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. How fun to tell our story.
Yeah. I
Sure.
really appreciate it. And as you said, and I agree, I think about and I live with the knowledge and experience that we've had together every day. It shows up, it guides me, it has informed me, and I'm so grateful for you and our friendship.
Yeah, not many people get to grow the way we grew together. The changes and the obstacles we overcame were just phenomenal. And to get to do it together, that makes our bond so strong now.
Yes.
Even though we don't have the studio anymore, we see each other a couple of times a year. It's like, hey, it's the connection that's there. That'll never go away.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
All right.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank
Love you.
I love you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, co-journeyers, for listening. I look forward to being with you again soon. Take care and be well.